Hello, students. Welcome to this session on diode parameters. So, in this session, we will learn some of the diode parameters. You have already learned some other diode parameters along with the VA characteristics and the experimental setup for doing the VA characteristics. And those parameters, I will just want to mention those parameters once more because only if you are incorporating those parameters also along with what we are going to learn today, it will make then only it will make a complete set of diode parameters. So all the parameters that you have already learned are, for example, the knee voltage, which we can deduce from the forward characteristics, then the AC resistance, DC resistance, both from the forward characteristics again, which are also called dynamic resistance and static resistance. Then from the reverse characteristics, similarly, you can find out the saturation current, breakdown voltage, and also the reverse resistance. So other than that, what we are going to learn today, the first one is bulk resistance. This is also an important parameter of the diode. It is actually the resistance offered by the body of the diode to the flow of current. You know that, and this will be significant only in the case of a forward biased PN junction diode, because only when the diode is forward biased it will be making a current to flow through it. So when the current is flowing through it, you know that it will be acting like a closed switch, or it will act like a good conductor of electricity, but still then the body of the diode will be offering some resistance to the flow of current, and that is what is measured by this parameter, which is called the bulk resistance. So in order to find out how much is the bulk resistance of a particular diode under a particular situation, this is the equation that you can use. RB, the bulk resistance, is equal to the effective voltage, which is VF minus VB. VF is the forward voltage applied to the diode, minus VB, because VB is the potential barrier or the knee voltage, because out of the total voltage which is given by using the supply or the battery, an amount VB will be used to overcome the barrier. Only the remaining voltage will be able to make some current flow through the diode. So that's why I told you this factor, the whole term VF minus VB is actually the net voltage available in that circuit to make some current, and divided by IF. IF is the forward current flowing through the circuit. So you know, it is a very simple equation. You just need to know the how much is the forward voltage, and you must know, and how much is the forward current, which is IF, which you can obtain definitely from the forward characteristics of the diode. But then you should also know how much is the VB value, the potential barrier or the knee voltage. And even if you have any confusion in taking that value from the diode characteristics, you will know that value because it is nearly a constant for silicon diode and germanium diode. For silicon diode, you will normally take it to be zero point 0.7 volts, and for germanium diode, you can take it to be zero point 0.4 volt. Now, I've given you an example here. The question is calculate for a silicon diode how much is the bulk resistance. That is the question, and it is given forward voltage is 1.1 volt and forward current is 1 ampere. So you substitute the values in these in the equation above. So the net voltage is 1.1 volts minus zero point 0.7 V volt divided by 1 ampere, so that will give you zero point 0.4 ohm. So it is very easy to calculate the bulk resistance, provided you get the forward characteristics, or these relevant values are supplied to you. Then the next one is storage time. It is an important concept when we want to use diode uh, uh, for uh, sending data, for data transmission. If you are using diode, you know, normally for data transmission, what we do is we will convert the data into bits of zeros and ones. So if those zeros and ones are represented using diode, then one will be represented by a high voltage, which is the on state of the diode, or high current, which is the on state of the diode, and zero will be represented by the off state of the diode, which means forward biased diode can be can be, somehow used to represent bit 1, and a reverse biased diode can be used to represent bit 0. So in that context, this concept becomes important, because if you want to send a stream of data which is a sequence of ones and zeros, suppose initially you transmitted bit 1, and immediately after that, suppose a 0 is coming. So what you need to do is, the diode was used to represent in the forward biased state. We somehow, in order to transmit bit 1, we made the diode forward biased. Then behind that, bit 0 is coming, so the same diode should be converted into off state in order to represent that bit 0. So the same diode will be used to represent bit 1s and zeros. So that means switching between forward biased state and reverse biased state should be carried achieved somehow. And how fast you can make this switching between forward biased and reverse biased, that will affect your speed of data transmission. For example, suppose you need 1 second. It's a very large time. Just for an example I'm giving you, suppose you need 1 second to switch between forward biased state and to reverse biased state. That means if you have got a 1 and a following 0, then you must allow a gap of 1 second between bit 1 and bit 0. Otherwise, what is going to happen is that if the data bit 0 is coming immediately after bit 1, then we will have confusion in reading it. The system will not successfully read bit 1 from bit 0, or bit 0 from bit 1. So that is the importance of this storage time when we want to use diode for data transmission. So I will try to explain what this concept is. So here, forward biased PN junction diode is shown. What I'm going to explain is how much is the time taken for forward biased diodes to switch to reverse biased state. So initially we are considering the forward biased diode. So in that case, it is acting like an closed switch, and it can be used to represent bit 1. So in that case, you see the holes which are majority carriers in the P region has crossed the junction. These white color dots, they have crossed the junction and they have reached the N region. Similarly, electrons from the N region have crossed the junction and they have reached the P region, which are represented by these black dots. So what we have during the time of forward biased state of the diode is P region will contain a large number of electrons, whereas similarly N region will contain a large number of holes also. So they are actually in their represented respective regions, they are actually minority carriers, but they were actually majority carriers, but they crossed over the junction and reached the opposite region. So that is the situation that we have when the diode is forward biased and is showing bit 1. And immediately after that, suppose I have got a bit 0 coming, so in that case I'm trying to reverse bias the diode and bring it to the off state. In that situation, I will be encountering a difficulty. The diode will not immediately switch from the on state to off state. So how much is the time taken for the diode to come back to the go to the off state from the on state? So that is what we are going to find out. So the off state should be represented by zero current. Okay, that is our requirement. When we reverse bias, the current should decrease to 0. Initially it was forward biased and the current was high, and when we reverse bias it, it can be used or it can be shown as a bit 0 only if the current decreases to 0, or very small value, which is the minority current of the order of microamperes, the current should decrease. Okay, so for that, how much time will take? What is going to happen is, immediately if you reverse bias, you will see that the current has only changed the direction, but it will remain high for a while. So why is it so? That is actually there is something called storage time. So these charge carriers, for example, these electrons in the P region, they are referred to as stored charges. They are the charges that migrated to the P region or N region from the opposite side. So the stored charges in the P region are electrons which came from the N region during forward bias. and stored charges in the N region are holes which came from the P region. So these stored charges, they are actually present in the interior of this region and N region. So when you immediately reverse bias, the first thing that you have to achieve is you'll have to somehow drain away all these stored charges completely from these regions. Otherwise, the current will not reach zero. So that time taken by the stored charges to completely drain from this region. That means the stored holes in the N region to completely get removed from the N region. Similarly, stored electrons in the P region to get completely removed from the P region. That time taken is referred to as the storage time. Okay, so then I will use this slide to explain it. See, initially the diode was in the forward biased state and the current was high. Then you gave reverse bias to the diode, but the current is not becoming zero. It only switches its direction. The direction gets reversed, but it will remain high. See, this is this high current, and it remains high for a time duration represented by Ts, and that is referred to as the storage time. Then what happens is that when all these stored charges are completely removed, you know, all this P region and N region both are experiencing reverse bias. So after that, the current can be created only through the minority carriers, and the current will be very small. So that means when all the stored charges are removed from both P region and N region, after that the current will be carried only by the minority carriers, and that will be very small. So the current will fall to a very small value, and that is represented by this point. So this time from here, at this point the current was very high, and at this instant the completely the stored charges were removed, and then the current carried by the minority carriers is the only current present, and that will be very small. So that means the current will fall to this very small value, a reverse negative value. And only thing is that it is in the opposite direction to the current which was flowing in the previous case. Okay, so that time taken by for example the high current to fall to the small value, this time, that is referred to as the transition time. So during this time it is making a transition from the on state to the off states. So the total time taken by a forward biased diode which was representing bit 1 to get converted into reverse biased stage and represent bit 0, that total time is actually the storage time plus the transition time, and that is referred to as the reverse recovery time, TRR. So that is actually the switching time, TS plus TT or TRR, which is represented here. That is actually the switching time. Switching time is the time taken by the forward biased diodes to switch to the reverse biased state. Okay, so that is a very important parameter in data communication. Now another parameter is this one. This is the diode equation. You cannot consider that to be the parameter, but it is also an equation which is very relevant in the case of semiconductor diode. So this diode equation represents, you don't have to learn the derivation of this equation. So you just, we are taking this equation, and I will explain individual parameters here. Diode equation ID, it is actually an equation for the current carried by the diode for a given applied voltage. So ID is the current through the diode, is equal to I0. I0 is the saturation current. I0 multiplied by a factor, and in that bracket you have got an exponential factor, and in the exponent you have got terms like Q is the charge of electron, Vd voltage across the diode, then a constant N. It sometimes, in some textbooks it is written as N, and in some other textbooks it is given as eta. It is referred to as ideality factor. You can either use eta or N. It is referred to as ideality factor. And for, to make things simple in the calculation, we will take eta or N
Ideality factor 1 for germanium and 2 for silicon. It is only an approximation. In fact, it is, a little higher than 1 for silicon and little less than 1 for germanium, but we round that to 1 and 2 so that our calculations will be simple. So you have to remember this. Sometimes, I'm saying this from examination point of view. Sometimes these values may not be given, but it will be specified what type of diode it is. So you'll have to take ideality factor 1 for germanium and 2 for silicon. Okay, then K is Boltzmann constant and T is the temperature in Kelvin. And then another thing I want to mention is KT. When you try to evaluate this exponent, there are many terms in this exponent. So in order to just make the calculation simple, we can, first of all, keep in your memory what will be certain constants appearing in this equation. You must definitely know how much is K, which is Boltzmann constant. And there is a term like K into T. It is referred to as thermal voltage, VTH. It is also called the volt equivalent of temperature or thermal voltage, VTH. It is K into T. So if you are calculating KT, the thermal voltage at room temperature, even though it is not correct for us, we will take room temperature to be 27 degrees Celsius. It is not correct. Our room temperature sometimes becomes, 30, 33 like that. But, if 27 degrees Celsius is the room temperature, it makes our calculations easier because in Kelvin, it will become 300 Kelvin. So at that temperature, if you calculate the thermal voltage, it will come out to be 25.9 milli electron volt. Now, why this equation, this equation as such is very important, but from this equation, you are able to find out one more diode parameter. It is referred to as the junction resistance. So junction resistance, you can evaluate from the diode equation. You just differentiate the equation for I, which is given here, I. On the right side, you have got V as a parameter. So you differentiate I with respect to V, and you will be getting this di by dv equal to I0 e raised to qv by nkt or eta kt multiplied by q by eta kt or nkt. N or eta both are the same. You either use n throughout or use eta throughout. Anyway, it is the ideality factor. And now here we will make an approximation, because in this equation, I is equal to I0. In the bracket, you have got e raised to eta kt, qvd by eta kt minus 1. So if you just neglect that minus 1 in this equation for the differential of I with respect to v, you can approximate this term to be I. So I will approximate it like IQ by NKT. So that is from there you will be able to write down the junction resistance. It will be inverse of this, because resistance is V by I, and right now we have evaluated di by dv. So if you take dv by di, the inverse of this one, that will give you Rj, the junction resistance. It is equal to eta kt by qi. Now, if in this equation, most of these terms are constants, eta 1 or 2, K is Boltzmann constant, 1.38 into 10 raised to minus 23, and T is a variable, I is a variable, Q is the charge of electron, 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. And here, if you substitute all those values, you will be able to find out Rj separately for germanium and silicon at room temperature. To further simplify it, then for at room temperature, you will get these values if you substitute all these constants and assume 300 Kelvin to be room temperature. You'll be getting for germanium Rj is equal to 0.026 by IF, where IF is the forward current flowing through the junction. And for silicon, you will be getting double that, 0.052 divided by IF. Now, the usefulness for the beauty of this equation is that numerator is 0.026. You can write it to be 26 millivolt, and unit of this numerator term will be in volt, because this is resistance. So you have got in the denominator you have got current, so the numerator term should be in the unit of volt. So numerator is 26 millivolts by IF. So for example, if IF is 30 milliampere, your RJ is 0.026 അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 26 by 30. 26 millivolts divided by 30 milliampere. So milli is appearing in both numerator and denominator, so you can neglect. So that will come out to be 26 by IF, where IF is the current in milliampere. Similarly, for silicon, it will be coming out to be 52 divided by IF, where IF is the current in milliampere. So you can, easily evaluate junction resistance if you know how much is the current and what type of diode it is. Okay, so these are the important diode parameters. There are some other parameters like peak inverse voltage, then the temperature it takes for the diode to get destroyed. So those terms I will discuss along with the rectifiers, because in rectifiers you have to learn different types of rectifiers. In each of the rectifiers we'll have to identify how much is the peak inverse voltage. So those terms we will discuss. I mean, there are a few more diode parameters left behind, and we will discuss them in the class on rectifiers. Okay, so that's all. So we will see you in the next class.